forget to subscribe.
You should always have the self-respect that a woman that you're dating or intimate with, or you're not even dating with her, you're just sleeping with her, is not sleeping with other men, cheating on you, disrespecting yourself. And you should also have the self-respect to be able to point out any sort of disrespect from the girl that you're dating, especially in this society. This is Sydney, Australia. This is a first world country where women are privileged and men are slaves. And you do not have to tolerate the disrespect of society, especially if you're a man that looks like me in a country like this. This is what society is doing to you. I want to talk about quite a few things, actually, and it's going to be a bit of a cluster of things that are all tied into the one thing, which is you having self-respect for yourself, really. But before we kick it off, I'm Dave, and this channel is dedicated to giving you no BS novel dating advice for the modern man. Top link in the description. Check out the website, go to the YouTube channel, check out the website, and sign up to do some cold approach coaching with myself, and dating advice too. Also relationships. I figured out that in the last 25 years, I have constantly been in a long-term relationship. I would say long-term is over a year or two, constantly with a different girl, depending on what time it has been in my life over the last 25 years. Like at the moment, I've been seeing the girl that I'm with now for about 2 years or more, and before that I had another girl for multiple years, and onwards all the way through my entire life for 25 years, consistently the entire time. So I also have some insights there. I am an older man in my 40s, so I do have something to add to that. But today we're going to be talking about kind of cucks, open relationships, having self-respect for yourself. The top of my mind at the moment is something that's an ongoing drama with a big YouTube channel called No Jumper. There's a guy who, he looks tough. He does. He looks like a big tough guy. He's covered in tattoos, even has tattoos up his neck. And recently, his wife, he paid a big black dude to come along. And we're also going to talk about vagina size as well, which is an important aspect of this as well, to have sex with his wife. Now, he popped out a tweet where he said that her vagina has gone back to its normal size. Anyway, so the basic premise of this is that he does some sort of porn sort of show, and he paid a guy, a big black dude, to come along and have sex with his wife, and apparently she was in pain because the dick was so large that it hurt her vagina for 2 days straight. And then on the third day afterwards, apparently he tried, and it was hurting still because it was so large. Now, let's just tackle the vagina size one. I've got one of the only videos on the internet where I went out and interviewed guys and talked about vagina size. All girls start with virgin vaginas. They're not born with large vaginas. It just doesn't happen. They're not born with it. Something happens to it, guys. And no, it doesn't stretch back, because if you slept with as many women as I have, oh gee, we're looking at, I don't know how many, 600, 700, something like that. I've done some traveling recently because I'm coaching. I slept with about 100 traveling, of course, so I can't get in relationships with them. I was just traveling, at least 100 in the last 12 months. So, and that's you know, that's traveling to easier countries. But keep in mind, I'm in my 40s, I'm short, I'm old, you know. The vagina does, it might bounce back a little bit, but women lie about these things. It will never, ever go back to its original size. And this is why, for thousands of years, virginity was so coveted, because they were fearful that a BBC would come along and destroy the girl's vagina, and even if they have an emotional connection with her, she's kind of tainted. If a large penis has gone inside the vagina, it is ruined forever. All it takes is one drunken episode at Ivy nightclub. She wakes up next to some guy she doesn't know, and her pants are hurting her, her groin is hurting her, and for it to be destroyed forever. And so when you sleep with enough women, you start to realize, you see enough vaginas, you're like, oh wow. And you can actually get in there, and if they allow you to play around with it, you're like, oh, so that was the size of the thing that was in there? So, you can, anyway. So this guy is Adam22 on Twitter, and it's kind of been an ongoing sort of saga with this YouTube channel. But this has kind of hit the point where he's become a bit of a cuck. Now, that is him. I'm not exactly sure what he's going through his mind. Like, does he still love her, or does he still respect her? I'm not exactly sure. Are they still in a serious relationship? It's hard to say. But I also saw a little video afterwards where they interviewed the BBC, and he goes, they start talking, and she said that if the BBC was in the room again, she would want it. So he has now, with his own wife, lost all respect. This is what happens in open relationships. If your girl wants to go cheat, sleep with another guy, and you allow it, and you want to have that conversation, and you pretend that you're strong enough to take it, what will happen is she will pick probably the guy that she's most attracted to, because she only has one chance. She only has one chance to cheat, sleep around, so she's more likely to pick the best. And apparently penis size was everything to this girl, and so she went for the biggest BBC she could get her hands on, and couldn't walk for 2 days, and now is lusting after it forevermore. Now, how to identify a cuck? How do you identify a cuck? Well, it's very simple. Cucks are always talking about sex toys. They have dildos. They are weak, pathetic men that pretend to be masculine when they allow their women to sleep around. They want to talk about sex toys. They want to talk about how to do sex right. I actually had a porn star guy reach out to me over a year and a half ago now, and he wanted to do like a bit of a collab, and I asked him about penis size, and then he went silent. After that conversation, he didn't want to collab with me. I think the secret is the size of your penis. All of these people, all these men that pretend that sex toys and all of that changes things. Ultimately, the girl just wants a man without any sex toys that can do the job organically. And if you need to bring out sex toys and pretend that you're some sort of a sex god, then there's a very good chance that you're inept in bed, or you're picking the wrong girls, or you're insecure and you're trying to compensate with dildos and funny little widgets and vibrating thingamajigs. So, so that guy, he kind of went quiet. I don't know, because he reached out to me, and he's kind of famous. He's best mates with Andrew Tate, if you know what I'm talking about, and he's apparently Australian, but I don't think he's ever been to Australia. I've ever seen him in here. He doesn't sound Australian. And recently there was a guy who did a podcast talking about, he's another Australian coach, one of those coaches that gives you sex advice. And what he did was he did a live stream. I got sent the clip. One of you guys sent me the clip. She thought that I might be interested in it. I knew this guy was a cuck. I knew he wasn't a real man. What happened was they were talking about how some of the guy was in a open relationship. I think they were talking about Destiny, who's relatively famous, and everyone has their 2 cents to add on him. And one of the coaches, the Australian coach out of this team of coaches, he said that he's in an open relationship and his girl can sleep with anyone that she wants. And it's not that bad. He started defending it. And then the reason why I got it sent to me is because that person took the clip, and then I was like, well, can you send me the link? And he goes, they deleted it because he realized that this PUA had no self-respect and they didn't want the drama. That same PUA gives sex advice. Apparently has classes, and he pulls out a whole table full of widgets and vibrating things and probes that he jams into the women, and he's like, oh, yeah. Stop dating whores. You're dating whores. And the thing is, you don't deserve, you should have enough self-respect to not date whores. And sure, if you focus on night game enough, most of the time you're going to meet whores, but there's still some awesome girls that you can meet in the nightclubs. It's a skill that you need. This is where Daygame comes into it. Daygame is where you're going to find the best girls. But it doesn't matter how beautiful she is, if she's had a BBC, she has a large vagina, and you are so you have so little respect for yourself. These are the same guys that go, you should sexualize off the approach. What a load of bullshit. What about having self-respect off the approach? You have no respect, allow her to get into an open relationship, get even more insecure, and then you're like, I'm going to overcompensate with vibrating widgets and massive dildos, and that's going to keep her around. No. You're trying to overcompensate because you're dating a whore. You're dating a hoe. Isn't it a song? Can you make a hoe a housewife? No, you can't. Because every time you sleep with her, your entire pelvis gets sucked into this black hole, and it's like you're being sucked. It's almost like that movie Dune, and there's this massive monster coming out of the sand. You just sucked in and, let me out. It's a black hole vagina, and you're trapped forever. But you don't have to tolerate that, because, as we discussed early on, girls aren't born with large vaginas, they're born virgins. So what happened there? She accidentally slipped and swallowed the tree? The tree trunk fell in? This massive tree trunk just... Anyway, we're a little bit off topic. But you don't have to tolerate that. I've never... There's only been one instance where I wanted to play around with sex toys and things like that, and I was probably, when I was a lot younger, I was about 17. I was like, what is this? Let's play with that. I was like, well, then I realized that I can do it myself with an innocent girl that doesn't have a lot of experience. A girl with a lot of experience, I'm gonna have to work harder for. That's not the type of girl that I want. I want a girl that's innocent, a girl that has less experience, so that she's more likely to enjoy the most basic of things. So there are a few things that I wanted to cover. And a lot of these guys, it's almost like when you look at this Adam 22, the no jumper guy, he's not a ladies' man, he's a man's man. There's a difference. That's why he's covered in tattoos up to here. He's a man's man. Men will look at him and go, wow, covered in tattoos, hits the gym, he's jacked. That's someone I want to be friends with. This is how in the manosphere we have so many men's men collaborating with so many other men. But the real ladies' men, the guys with real results, the guys that actually have, the funny thing is, it's counterintuitive. The guys that are men's men and act tough, and they're pretty boys and they got tattoos and they say all the right words to you, when it comes to the crunch with women, they're actually frauds. They actually don't stand their ground. They don't have any boundaries. And the women that they're with want open relationships, want sex toys, and don't respect them. But the ladies' men, the men that you don't really want to hang out with, possibly guys like me, because I've always been a ladies' man. I have never been a man's man. You probably wouldn't understand that I know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to women, I've got so much more valuable advice than a man's man. Because a man's man is the type of guy that is overrepresented in the divorce statistics. Ladies' men choose. Ladies' men have the power. Ladies' men have boundaries and their women respect them. So then let's get into a bit of female psychology. Now, I'm sure you've heard that women women are often attracted to men straight out of jail. And there's been some famous cases of men getting straight out of jail that are there was one guy that got out of jail and became a model, and he was famous. And yeah, he was famous, and he was because he was just good looking. He gets out of jail, and it was more like they liked the danger about this guy. It was like he was dangerous and violent. It's funny, the same women that will say that they feel uncomfortable around men and they feel unsafe are the same women that will choose seriously violent and dangerous men to date and get into serious relationships with. And so one thing that I have used, and in many cases I've actually been honest with the girl. I've had girls where they've had boys as friends, or they've had other guys like hit on them. Now that I'm a little bit older, it's more just tongue-in-cheek, but I'd rather them believe it. When I was younger, I would actually say, look, if he... This advice is something that I would keep for my students and clients, and probably not okay to be putting it on YouTube. But that's the way a real, in my opinion, masculine man would defend what is arguably his. When I hang out with my students and they have dates and they have girls around, I don't even talk to the girls. I don't even look at the girls. I'm like, hey, I don't shake a hand, don't give her a hug or anything like that. Because I learned early on that a lot of men are living in scarcity. They're jealous. They don't have the options. And I got in so much trouble with so many friends over the years that were dating girls, and I would just talk to them. I wasn't trying to cheat on him, like cheat with her against my friend. It was more like I just got on better with girls. So now I've learned, if you got a girl, I just nah. I'll treat her like she's invisible. She's not even there. Oh, Dave hates me. It's like, no, he doesn't hate you. It's just he's showing respect for his friends. And are you surrounded by friends that disrespect you as well? Are you the type of guy that's surrounded by players that are in really just living in scarcity because they don't have the options themselves? They don't have the cold approach skills to get more girls. That will sleep with your girlfriend, and on top of that, your girlfriend wants an open relationship, and you're thinking about sex toys. You're going down the wrong path, my friend, and you need some coaching from a real ladies' man. reach out to me, top link in the description. Get some cold approach coaching and get red pilled by myself. I call it red pilled, but I'll just say the reality of the world pilled by a real ladies man, someone who's like myself, that hasn't spent time making money, has spent time making success with girls. And who do you think would be more happier with their life? I came from the ghetto and have been poor most of my life, but I've always had girls around me. You can live in a tiny little apartment with hardly any money, and as long as you got girls around, your life is better than a millionaire or a billionaire that is lonely, or his wife is cheating on him, or he's got divorced, raped, and now he's alone again and he doesn't have access to his kids. I've always had a better life than most of those wealthy men in Western countries where society treats them poorly. And all of that information, you can't buy it. Well, you can buy it through coaching with myself, but you can't read it in a book. And so that's why I would urge you guys to reach out, top link in the description, find the link, fill out the form. It's not just cold approach coaching, guys. We spend hours out there talking about the reality of the world. Not only masculinity, having some self-respect for yourself. I cover the cold approach through to the relationship, date strategies, everything. We cover everything. It's an all-encompassing program, especially the 7-day one, sorry. But anyway, beautiful afternoon here in Sydney CBD. I'll see you guys in the next video.